Chapter 10. Lacy. It's me. Suki. The voice was soft, hesitant, barely more than a breath on the night breeze. Lacy froze. She turned slowly, the sound of her name cutting through the thick fog of grief like sunlight through a storm. And there she was. Suki stood just a few feet away, her expression uncertain, her posture heavy with sadness. She looked tired, like she'd been carrying the weight of entire worlds, but she was here. Real. Whole. Hers. Lacy couldn't move at first. Her breath caught in her throat. A tidal wave of emotion surged through her, relief so intense it made her knees weak, grief and longing crashing into her chest all at once, shock electrifying her spine. And then, rising like a phoenix from the ashes, joy. Pure, undeniable, heart-shattering joy. Before she even realized what she was doing, Lacy ran. She closed the distance between them in a heartbeat, her feet barely touching the ground. And then they were in each other's arms. Suki's warmth, her scent, the way she melted into the hug, it was all real. It wasn't a dream. She was here. She came back. Lacy held her tighter, afraid that if she let go, Suki would vanish again. But Suki didn't vanish. She held on just as tightly. Two shattered hearts, finding each other again in the dark. She was real. She was here. Lacy could feel her, warm, solid, alive. The thud of Suki's heartbeat against her chest grounded her in reality. My Suki. I'm all right, Suki murmured softly, still holding her close. I found a way for us to be together. She pulled back just enough to look Lacy in the eyes. But only if you want to. I need to explain everything to you. Lacy nodded slowly, her arms folding awkwardly over her chest as Suki stepped back. There was a new tension in the air, something fragile and uncertain. Suki's eyes held a kind of sadness, but also determination. Lacy's heart pounded. I don't know what she's about to say, but I know one thing for sure. I don't ever want to lose her again. Suki took a steadying breath. What I'm about to say, she began gently, you may not like it. She paused, watching Lacy's expression carefully. But this is the only solution I could find for us to be together. So we need to talk this out. Lacy said nothing, but the way she shifted nervously spoke volumes. She scratched at her sleeve, her throat dry. For political reasons. Suki hesitated. I am to marry the princess my parents chose. Lacy gasped, stunned. Suki rushed to explain. It's to align the kingdoms. It's purely strategic. A heavy silence fell between them. Lacy's shoulders sagged. Her face was pale, stunned. Heart cracking open all over again. But Suki stepped forward, her voice firmer now. Lacy, listen to me. It's only for politics and nobility. That's it. I won't have any romantic or sexual relationship with her. At all. Lacy blinked, breathing shallow, but her eyes locked onto Suki's. I want a long-distance relationship with you, Suki said. I'll come to Earth frequently when my royal duties allow. We'll have time together, real time. We can stay in a long-term romantic relationship. I promise. The night seemed to hold its breath, waiting for Lacy's reply. Lacy's heart pounded so hard, she was sure Suki could hear it. This sounds surreal. Suki wanted to be with her. Truly. But she was also going to marry someone else. The words kept echoing in her mind, unable to land. Suki's voice softened. I wouldn't risk bringing you to my home planet, Lacy. She hesitated, guilt flickering in her eyes. I'm a princess there. There would be jealousy, political drama, people trying to use you for their gain. I'm scared someone would harm you. Lacy could see the sincerity in her face, the way her hands trembled slightly as she gestured, trying to make her point understood. So instead, Suki said, I'll visit Earth. Discreetly. My cousin, Orion, will help. She offered a faint smile. You remember him, the guy you saw that night we were stargazing. Lacy opened her mouth. But. Her thoughts spun in wild, tangled circles. A royal engagement, a hidden long-distance relationship, a princess torn between two worlds. What am I supposed to say to that? Suki seemed to hear the storm inside her. I know what you're thinking, she said gently. How can you trust me when I'm galaxies away? Lacy lowered her gaze, unsure. Suki stepped closer. I have a solution to that. It's a common practice on my planet. She took a breath, steadying herself. When we propose, or when we choose to enter a committed romantic bond, we exchange necklaces. Necklaces? Lacy asked, blinking in confusion. Not just any necklace, Suki explained, her tone lightening just a little. They're special, designed to detect if the other person is being unfaithful. A sacred promise you wear around your neck. Lacy stared at her, stunned. Suki smiled faintly and lifted her hand to her collarbone. I'm wearing mine right now, as you can see. Suki's fingers brushed the chain around her neck. If you were to cheat on me, she said calmly, the necklace would turn red. Lacy blinked. It sounded like something from a sci-fi novel, a love story written in stars and strange technology. This is insane, but somehow, in a strange, unexpected way, it makes sense. Suki stepped closer, her eyes soft. Lacy, you and I can trust each other. Her voice trembled, slightly with hope. If our relationship works out, we can last. She paused, drawing in a deep breath, then smiled. And now, Suki turned toward her, closing the distance between them. Carefully, she reached into a small pouch at her side and drew out a delicate chain, glinting silver under the garden lights. She moved behind Lacy and fastened the necklace around her neck. Lacy's breath caught as the cool metal met her skin. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, like a promise. Something stirred in her chest, fragile yet fierce, blooming like a star in the dark. This necklace, this symbol, was more than just alien tech. It was trust, a chance, a future. Suki stepped back, her expression unreadable, and still fear crept in. What if it doesn't work? What if time and distance wear us down? What if I lose her anyway? The ache in Lacy's chest deepened, but then she looked at Suki. This is Suki, my Suki, the woman who made her world feel boundless, who turned every color brighter, every silence softer. Lacy knew she couldn't predict the future. She didn't know how the universe would test them. But she knew one thing with complete certainty. She is worth trying for. We are worth trying for. And so she made her choice. To try. To fight. To believe in them. No matter the galaxies between them. Lacy's fingers trembled as they touched the necklace around her throat. A rush of emotion surged through her. Equal parts awe, fear and love. Her heart pounded beneath her ribcage like a signal flare trying to make sense of everything. Suki's voice was soft, tentative. I know the solution is unconventional, she said with a nervous laugh. Really out there. But it's the best I could come up with. Her eyes flickered with vulnerability. I've been searching, thinking, turning over every possibility these past few weeks, trying to find a way for us to be together. She paused, then added gently, but I completely understand if this is too much for you. Lacy looked up, caught in her gaze. Please don't feel pressured into anything, Suki said. This is your choice, and no matter what you decide, I won't hold it against you. Ever. A breath. A beat. Your happiness comes first to me. Always. Lacy drew in a shaky breath, grounding herself. Suki, she said slowly, I won't lie. This whole situation, being apart, the secrecy, the uncertainty, it scares me. Her hand curled into her chest, as if trying to hold her heart still. But what we have, her voice cracked, then steadied. It's real, and I won't let fear make this decision for me. Suki's face lit up, glowing like the stars they once gazed at together. I believe in us, Lacy said softly, a shy smile tugging at her lips. And if you're willing to fight for this, then so am I. Suki's eyes widened with joy. Lacy! She rushed forward, crossing the space between them in a heartbeat. Her arms wrapped around Lacy with desperate affection, holding on like she never wanted to let go again. Lacy laughed as the warmth of Suki's embrace surrounded her, grounding her, healing her. You won't regret this, Suki whispered, her voice muffled against Lacy's shoulder. I promise, Lacy. And just like that, Lacy knew. The second Suki was in her arms, all the fear melted away. Because this was Suki, the woman she loved. And maybe, just maybe, this crazy, impossible love story of theirs, it just might work. Chapter 11. Lacy cradled a warm ceramic mug between her hands, its steam curling into the quiet evening air of the apartment. The soft hum of music drifted in the background, dreamy and slow, like a lullaby from another galaxy. She stood by the window, gazing into the city lights beyond the glass as the memories unfolded. It had been 5 years since that night in the campus gardens. 5 years since Suki came back to her with an impossible, unconventional idea, one that no ordinary love could have survived. But somehow, against every odd and obstacle, they had made it work. The beginning wasn't easy. The distance was a gnawing ache. The longing, a constant pulse beneath Lacy's skin. The uncertainty, a silent, persistent shadow. But through every lonely night and every whispered call across galaxies, they never let go of each other. Suki had kept her visits to Earth hidden with precision, her family believing she was away on royal duties to distant planets. And Lacy held on to their love like a flame cupped in her hands. Every visit was a gift. Every goodbye broke her heart a little, but it was never the end. For 5 years, they remained engaged. Their wedding necklaces, symbols of trust and devotion, never once turned red. And now, after everything, they were finally getting married. 2 ceremonies awaited them, one a traditional Earth-Western wedding, and the other a fusion, an interstellar celebration beneath the stars, honoring both their worlds. A union where Earth's vows met celestial customs. A moment of sacred blending beneath the very sky where their love story had begun. Her heart swelled at the thought. As for her friends, life had moved them forward as it always does. Chase and Paris had broken up once, drifted apart for almost a year, but love has its own tides. Eventually, they found their way back to each other. Now, they shared a home, laughter, and a love that had deepened through the storms. Tegan and Rem were still as inseparable as ever, best friends and the cutest couple. They'd recently become engaged, beaming with joy and a sense of purpose. Rem had finally become a veterinarian, fulfilling the dream they'd carried since they were kids. Lacy took a slow sip from her mug, warmth blooming in her chest. Hayes and Kip had gotten married just last year. The ceremony was a beautiful, hilarious whirlwind, exactly what anyone would expect from the two of them. They were still as chaotic, loving, and oddly matched as ever, somehow thriving in their perfectly imperfect harmony. And Seth, well, after enduring years of teasing, side eyes, and not-so-subtle threats from Lacy's fiercely protective circle of friends, he finally got the message. To everyone's surprise and relief, he found himself a girlfriend. The obsessive crush he'd once harbored for Lacy had become a thing of the past. Finally. And as for Lacy herself, she stood there now, mug in hand, heart full, eyes wide with wonder, on the edge of a future she once believed she'd never have. A future that had seemed too improbable, too distant, literally light years away. She was about to marry her soulmate, Suki. They had defied galaxies, royal obligations, time, and distance just to be together. What began with stardust and longing had grown into something real, steady and unshakable. They had made it work, and now, with every beat of her heart echoing the truth of their journey, Lacy was ready to begin the next chapter of their impossible, extraordinary love story. The sun shone high above, golden and warm, as if it, too, was blessing the moment. Lacy stood in a white dress that shimmered like light cotton lace. Suki, radiant beside her, wore ceremonial silks with elegant embroidery that blended earth tradition with quiet nods to her homeworld. Both held matching bouquets of pale pink and white roses, delicate and vibrant. Across from them, Rem held an open book, hands trembling just slightly, eyes glassy with emotion. They looked dashing in their tailored suit, elegant, sincere, every bit the perfect officiant. The setting was simple, pure, just nature, flowers, and the hum of love in the air. Lacy's heart thudded like a drumbeat echoing through the years. This is it, she thought. Our first wedding day. Under the open sky, surrounded by love. Her gaze swept over the crowd. There were her friends, Tegan, Chase, Paris, Kip, Hayes, all smiling, all teary. Her parents, moved and joyful. Suki's Earth friends beamed with quiet pride, but her own family, they weren't here. They still believed Suki was off-world, engaged in some royal affair in another galaxy. They didn't know she was here, marrying the woman she loved, on Earth. And still, Suki had come. Still, she stood by her side. Because our love is real, Lacy reminded herself. Because we choose each other. Rem's voice carried through the gentle breeze, steady and warm. We are gathered here today to celebrate the love between Lacy and Suki, they said. Love that defied all odds. Love that endured time, distance, and challenges. A pause, a glance between the brides. And today, in the presence of your dearest friends and family, Rem continued, you both vow to continue this love story together. Rem turned, eyes soft with affection. Lacy, they asked gently, would you like to say your vows? Lacy drew a slow, deep breath. Her fingers curled tighter around her bouquet. Her gaze locked onto Suki's, and the world around them blurred. Lacy inhaled deeply, steadying the flutter in her chest. A hush fell over the small gathering, the kind of silence that honored the sacredness of the moment. Her voice trembled slightly as she began, eyes locked on Suki's. Suki! Her lips parted around the name like it was the beginning of a prayer. I won't lie. When you first told me your idea, I was terrified. She paused, her grip tightening slightly on the bouquet in her hands. Then she took another breath and continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. But the truth is, you are worth everything. Every challenge, every moment of longing, every star in the sky that reminds me of you. Her eyes shimmered with emotion, and Suki's gaze held hers with quiet, reverent intensity. You once told me that love is more than just being together in the same place. Lacy went on, her voice soft and certain. It's trust. It's believing in each other. And I do. I believe in you. A breeze stirred the petals in her bouquet as she smiled through the tears building in her throat. I vow to love you, even when many things separate us. I vow to cherish you, even when life gets hard. I vow to wait for you, because no one else can ever compare. The crowd was still silent, many wiping their eyes. Suki's own were glistening now, and her breath hitched just barely. You are my once-in-a-lifetime love, Lacy whispered, and I choose you now and forever. The moment hung, suspended in the air, fragile and beautiful. Rem gave them a small, warm smile. Suki, they said gently, would you like to say your vows? Suki drew in a breath, steady and deep, as if to anchor herself in the magnitude of the moment. Her gaze never left Lacy's as she began to speak, voice soft but unwavering. Lacy, I know my love for you has asked so much of you, she said. Patience, strength, trust. She paused, her lips trembling slightly as emotion surged through her. But you never gave up on me, she continued. Even when you had every reason to. Tears welled in Lacy's eyes as Suki pressed on, her words weaving through the air like stardust. You are the brightest light in my universe, Suki said, her voice thick with feeling. And I vow to always find my way back to you. The wind rustled softly around them, carrying her words like a sacred offering. I vow to love you with the fierce devotion of a warrior and the gentle touch of a poet, she said. I vow to be your safe place, your home, no matter where the stars take us. Then, with a tender smile, Suki spoke the words that made Lacy's breath catch in her throat. You are my heart's only gravity, she whispered, and I choose you for all my lifetimes to come. Lacy wiped at her tears, overwhelmed by the weight and beauty of Suki's vow. Her chest ached with joy. She sniffled softly, smiling through the flood of emotion. For a quiet moment, they simply looked at each other, two souls laid bare, standing in a love that had defied time, distance, and even the stars. Rem stepped forward, beaming. Lacy and Suki, they said, do you promise to love and honor each other for as long as the stars shine? I do, Lacy said, voice glowing. I do, Suki echoed, radiant. Then by the power of love, Rem announced joyfully, I now pronounce you married. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Rem stepped back with a proud smile, closing the book and applauding with heartfelt delight. Lacy set her bouquet aside, heart pounding, as Suki stepped forward with a grin that could have lit galaxies. She pulled Lacy close, her hands gentle, sure, and kissed her. Not just any kiss. A kiss that sealed vows spoken across galaxies. A kiss that belonged to soulmates who had waited, fought, and chosen each other again and again. Under the golden sky, they held each other as if the universe had finally given them its blessing. The world is quiet. No guests. No noise. No distractions. Just us. Our second wedding is a secret, a sacred ceremony whispered into the stars, blending the traditions of two very different worlds. We stand beneath a floral arch at the edge of a cliff, where the sea sighs far below and the night sky stretches infinitely above us, scattered with stars and drenched in silver moonlight. Candles flicker on either side of the stone path leading to this moment, their tiny flames swaying with the ocean breeze like whispers of blessings only we can hear. No one else from Earth is here. No family. No friends. No one else knows who Suki really is, not in full. And that's how it has to be. This love, this union, it's ours alone. Undiluted. Uninterrupted. Sacred. After tonight, I'll be leaving Earth for the very first time. Suki has promised to take me somewhere safe, somewhere beyond the stars, for our honeymoon. A place where no one knows us. A place where we can simply be. Her home planet, she explained, is still off limits to me. There are tensions, eyes watching, political complexities I'll never be able to fully understand. I may be her wife, but to others, I'd still be an outsider. Maybe even a threat, but none of that matters. Because I trust her, I choose her, and she chooses me. Suki turns to me, her expression soft, illuminated by the soft shimmer of the candles and stars. Are you ready, my love? She asks, her voice full of affection and awe. Always, I whisper, and I mean it with every fiber of my being. She smiles and reaches up, gently lifting the glowing necklace from around her neck. The crystal at its center glows brighter in her hands, and as I lift mine, the light pulses, alive, responding, as if the necklaces can sense the love moving between us. The wind picks up, swirling through her hair and carrying her presence like a song I'll spend forever remembering. Suki takes my hands, her fingers warm and steady in mine. And together, under the moon's silver gaze, we begin our vows. Suki's eyes shimmer as she steps closer, her voice tender, reverent. On my home planet, she says softly, vows are not just spoken. They are felt, lived, bound to the stars. Her hands open, expressive and graceful in the candlelight. I offer you my vow, woven in the language of my people. A promise that cannot break, even across galaxies. She takes a breath, steady and sure. Then, her gaze locks with mine. Lacy, she says, I vow to be your horizon, always guiding you home. To be your gravity, holding you steady. My heart swells with every word. I vow to speak your name into the stars, she continues, so the universe will always know who I belong to. Her voice wavers only slightly with emotion. I vow to walk with you across every world until the stars themselves fade. Tears rise in my eyes, not from sorrow, but from a love so immense I can hardly contain it. Suki, I whisper, my voice catching. I vow to never let you wander alone in the dark. I tell her, my hand rising toward my chest. To be your light, just as you are mine. I take a deep breath, heartful. I vow to love you in ways even time cannot measure. To stand by you across every sky, every lifetime, every universe. Suki's own eyes fill with tears now, glimmering like starlight, like distant galaxies waiting to be explored. She smiles. Together, we place our hands over our glowing necklaces. Their light pulses softly between our palms, our vows sealed not just with words, but with the promise of something eternal. We step toward each other slowly, as if gravity itself draws us together. Her arms wrap around me, and mine find their place around her, and in that embrace is every vow, every heartbeat, every choice we've made. And then, beneath the starlit sky and the glowing moon, we kiss, our first as bound souls. Our love, once whispered across the stars, is now here, now sealed, forever.